Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Data Center Knowledge Fast Chat on enhancing the safety of electrical distribution amidst rising power densities. I'm Sal Salamone, Managing Editor at Informa, and joining me today is John Berenbrock, who's Director of Product Management at Starline, a Legrand brand. Welcome, John. Let's get right into it. What challenges do data center operators face due to the increased power consumption and high power density environments demanded by AI?
Yeah, thanks, Sal. Pleasure to be here. I think that's a great question, and really it's kind of a twofold answer in that obviously we have tremendous challenges with just the amount of power being delivered, so and the rate of change. So when you think about where rack densities were years ago, maybe 3 to 6 to 7 kilowatts per rack, and you get to the cloud compute phase and maybe we're 17 to 20 kilowatts per rack. And then last year, as NVIDIA rolls out new GPUs and ChatGPT comes out, certain applications are requiring all of a sudden double that. So we went from 7 to 10 to 20 to now we're at 40, right? And that's the current topology. And there's still a race at 40 right now between people trying to build these out. They're also trying to plan for the next 2 to 3 years, which then again, the power jumps 3 or 4-fold to over 100 kilowatts per rack. So the challenge for many data center operators are, how do I distribute that amount of power to the rack and still be scalable and flexible for the future?
Yeah, great. And now, so what strategies should operators adopt to manage these increased densities?
Well, I mean, I think they should adopt a flexible power solution like an overhead busway. I mean, that gives you the ability to change plug-in units and change your densities almost on the fly. So that's one really good option. And when you consider these things, considering safety and other inherent electrical capabilities is also really important.
Can you give some examples of the latest advancements in electrical distribution that help enhance operational efficiency and meet safety standards?
Yeah, certainly. So I think, looking at all electrical equipment, so I'm just going to talk on a very broad scale right now. When you look at all data center electrical equipment, because the powers are kind of on that curve going really quickly, along with that, so are safety concerns. And that would be, things like fault currents are going up. Before they were, I would say, rather manageable, not that they would be okay if there was a fault previously, but now they're on the scale of, almost catastrophic if there were to be something that would happen anywhere along that power distribution chain. So at Starline, what we took a look at is say, okay, if we know the fault current's increasing and incident energy along with that could also be increasing, and just a primer on incident energy, that is the arc flash available energy that creates an arc flash. So obviously we want to minimize the chances of being in an arc flash event. It's an extremely terrifying event. So what we've done is we've created a remote engagement tool that you can use on Starline's plug-in units that distribute the branch power. And that way you can engage our plug-in units into our overhead busways kind of outside of the arc flash zone. And that really lends itself to a couple of different things. So safety, paramount, of course, but it also gives many data center operators a lot of flexibility because they recognize this inherent risk and they're already doing shutdowns. So if they don't have to shut down their busway and they can remove risk, it's really a win-win for both.
Okay. So now, how does this technology, integrate and work with existing data center infrastructures?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you think about when we go back to the beginning of our conversation, and I said, when you use overhead busway, you can change out branch circuits relatively quickly. I say extremely quickly. In the order of minutes rather than if you think about an electrician coming. So when you use our technology, you can really switch these out. So all an operator would have to do is kind of order the right components, and they could easily switch out branch circuits and buy our tool, and then they could use this technology.
Great. That's great information, John. I think this is an issue we'll be revisiting for a long time. As you mentioned, the growth that was there already, and now, just as you've talked about the projection, it's just astronomical. I mean, I think I'd love to touch base again in the future. This is a topic of great concern to almost everyone we talk to. So thank you for this information. So thanks for taking time today to join us for this Data Center Knowledge Fast Chat. And thank you all for attending.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Sal.
Thanks, John.